I'm Ivy.
I'm Rachel, and we are Swords and Sapphics, a podcast all about representation, queer media, women with a capital W, and a little bit of nonsense.
So start sharpening your swords, sip your tea, and join us as we obsess over the wonderful beings that are women. Hello.
Hello.
What are we talking about today?
Well, we're talking about things, but we may be talking to somebody about things.
Ooh,
Yeah,
oh
we
my,
have another guest.
another?
Another one.
The
They keep popping
doors.
up.
Yeah, the door never stopped. It's not never locked.
It isn't. We are going to be talking to Jennifer J. Coldwater. Every time I want to call her Jennifer Coolidge.
The Before you mentioned it, I was fine. Now I had the same issue.
Yeah. But we are talking to Jennifer J. Coldwater, not to be mistaken with Jennifer Coolidge, about her books, which are based off Hebrew biblical women, but are queer romances with bi and pan protagonists.
But before we get into the interview, what are you enjoying these days?
Well, I just got off the Nintendo. I
Mhm.
was playing Red Dead Redemption. And I finished the main storyline. So I was playing the Undead Nightmare.
Mhm.
And it's good for a zombie game that's not really a zombie game because it's a Western game, but it has a zombie
Mhm.
option. You know, it's good. I'm enjoying it.
Good.
Yeah. I finished Mockingjay. I finished listening to it, which means I finally started The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes.
Everyone applause.
And if you haven't read it yet, there's gonna be spoilers in the coming episodes because I'm gonna want to talk about everything,
Hmm.
including the fact that Tigress and Snow are cousins.
Yeah.
Da da da! Suzanne Collins already dropped a bomb in the first few pages, literally and figuratively.
And in the last pages of Mockingjay.
Oh yeah. No, that
I
was
went to the
Peter. No, it wasn't Peter, it was Gale. That was
yeah.
Gale.
I went.
Also, the hall is called Heavensby Hall.
Hmm.
And you know who's called Heavensby?
Is it
Plutarch.
Heavensby? Hmm. Holy gosh.
I wonder what that might mean.
Mm.
Other than that, I haven't had much time for enjoying things recently. It's been busy, busy. I've been rewatching a lot of Vampire Diaries. Last night I watched Mona the Vampire,
You
which
ended up.
I fucking did. I
Amazing.
was Ivy and I was on FaceTime and I started telling her about The Bear in the Big Blue House, which is a kids show that I watched when I was really small. I was only a little baby. And
Mm.
the bear is the cutest thing. And there's a singing moon there called Luna. And it really got me in my nostalgia. So I decided to watch a couple episodes of Mona the Vampire.
Amazing.
Yeah. I did finally finish the first season of Only Murders in the Building. I've been
Mhm.
watching it while I'm cross-stitching. Because I found that it's not the type of program I can keep my focus on for long periods of time. But when I'm doing something else at the same time, I'm really enjoying it. I think that's really it.
Mm.
Wait, I watched a film.
Oh my God. I literally saw a TikTok before we went on. I saw a TikTok being like, what's the worst movie I've ever seen? Immediate answer, The Family Affair. And they just bitched about it for like all 3 minutes.
I'm gonna say something. It wasn't actually the worst movie I've ever seen. Um, I'm not gonna lie, I actually enjoyed it more than The Idea of You.
Hmm.
Because they're both right. Here's the deal if you've not seen them. They're both MILF films, okay? The hot celebrity gets with the single mother. And there's a bit of an age gap there. Um, the Idea of You was like marketed as a rom-com, and there wasn't a funny line from like after 20 minutes in, I would say I can't remember a funny line after that. The comedy was at the beginning, then it stopped. But this was actually really funny. Zac Efron is actually a really good actor and he's great in comedies. The only thing that upset me was looking at so much Botox. It's a lot of Botox to behold in Hollywood these days. And I'm all for it, but I'm not. I don't want it's hard to look at because it's not the way things are supposed to be. It's like the uncanny.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very
We talked about this.
it makes me uncomfortable to look at like certain points.
Yeah.
And one someone there was a clip of Anne Hathaway's some of her older movies where when she laughed she had like wrinkles around her eyes, which I
Mm.
always fucking love. She doesn't have that much anymore. It's not that pronounced because of all the stuff that they're putting into their faces, and then you're like, there are no more wrinkles in the movies, which is such a fucking unhinged thing. And I started
Yeah.
noticing that.
I just find I don't it doesn't bother me, but it bothers me, but like it's not because it makes me uncomfortable. It's just that it distracts me
Mm.
because it's so easy to tell that like something's wrong there. So that's not natural. That's not someone's real face.
I
And
always
it
think back to El Enchanted, the movie, when her stepmother got like Botox. It was some sort of bad serum. And it
mm,
was the most horrific thing you've ever seen. But that's always reminds me of that.
yeah, get it. But it was okay. I didn't expect to be on Joey King's side of the whole thing because the plot goes that she works for Zac Efron as an assistant, and then Zac Efron meets her mum, who is Nicole Kidman. And then they fuck. And then Joey King chokes on a grape and ends up in A&E because of the shock of seeing her mother fucking Zac Efron. And then she asks them and makes it very known that it's not comfortable for her boss and her mum to be together, especially because Zac Efron is a player boy. And they're just like, actually, you're being really selfish and just keep fucking. And it's like, that's probably not how you should listen to your child. Like, if they say they're uncomfortable with your sexual partner, maybe you should examine that. I don't know. What would I know?
What would you know? You don't know.
What would I know about that?
No,
I
no,
don't know.
you don't know.
I've never had Zac Efron as a stepdad, but I've had some stepdads that I didn't enjoy.
Mm.
But also, again, like, there's a real disconnect in movies at the minute. There's You're expected to feel sympathy for the characters because they're struggling, but they're living in really nice houses, aesthetically pleasing houses, and they have money behind them, and they can afford to like quit their job and change careers. And it's just they're really hard to connect with, like especially with the cost of living and everything going on in for normal people in normal countries.
Yeah, it was like with Good Grief, wasn't it?
Yeah. Like recently, most of the films I've been watching is that even with The Idea of You, while
Mm.
we're on the
Yeah.
subjects, like she was not just any single mother.
Yeah. She
Like the
was
appeal
struggling.
in usual age gap romances is that they're like an every like there's it's like this wonderful person could choose you.
Mhm.
You normal person. But it's not like that. Like Anne Hathaway's beautiful. She doesn't look in her 40s anyways. She had her own fucking art studio.
A whole fucking house.
Yeah. It's like and it's just like they have struggles, but they're very tiny in comparison to
Mhm.
like if she was a single mother who couldn't pay her bills
Mhm.
and didn't have a steady job that
Mhm.
she loved and stuff like that. And it's just I don't know.
Yeah.
Recently I've been noticing it a lot.
Yeah. It's a fair
I
point.
think they're trying to like make people forget that there are
Mhm.
starving people on the streets. I think poverty doesn't benefit Hollywood and they want everybody to forget about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That got deep.
Yeah.
Anyway, how about you? What have you been enjoying?
Well, I read Lore Olympus Volume 6, which is a Greek retelling comic book. I really love it. It's like Hades and Persephone, but you have like all other gods and minor gods and nymphs, and there's actually like, a lot of um mental health issues and sexual assault and quite a lot of things that it goes. I think it does it quite the justice
Mm.
considering it's a comic book.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying it very much. I love them. I love the books. And the next one is coming out in October and I'm ready.
Yay.
And then I read Barbarian Mind by Ruby Dixon, which is an alien smut. It's book four in the Ice Planet Barbarian series. And it's good. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. It's good. It's extremely straight. There's a lot of pregnant people now. There's a lot of babies, but I love babies. Oh, they're
No.
very cute. And honestly, the lines that the aliens are dropping, they're obsessed with their women, like obsessed, and that's what I want from life. And it's just fun to read. It's really fun to read.
Yeah, I really
But
get it.
I got um I had one slight issue in this book, and that when she was describing his genitals, she mentioned she compared the size to her forearm, which I'm like, yeah, you don't want that inside of you. What the fuck? It would split you into half. That will be a no
Yeah.
from me. But good for her, you know?
Good for
Good for
her.
her. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Interesting.
Speechless.
You've left me speechless. I saw I saw an alien western smart. It was an alien cowboy, and that
Oh.
I'm interested in.
Thing is, I'm a Avatar girly. I still haven't watched the second movie, but I love Avatars. The minute I saw it, I was like, yes. Just yes. And this is basically it. Like they're blue, they have tails, they have very long hair, blue hair.
Not tails.
I love tails. There's so much fun stuff
Fucking
to be
hate
able to be done
tails.
with tails. But anyway, they're not as gigantic. They're only like up around 7 feet. So I guess all
Oh, they're only 7 feet.
yeah, we're good. We're doing well. Um, but yeah, it's fun. It's fun. It's 14 books. I'm on the fourth one. They were basically the same, really. But yeah. I'm
Oh,
enjoying
they're
it.
for like Ali Hazelwood fans, but if they like aliens.
Even more same. Ellie at least
Even-
changes the plot, right? This is the same. This is the same thing
Oh,
all over again. Like the entire point is that they to survive on this planet, they have this little wormy thing inside of them that like keeps them healthy and thriving and be able to survive in the weather conditions. And but they mate the alien and the human woman. They do like humming sounds. That means that they're mated and that they have to conceive. That's the
oh,
entire plot. So every single
okay.
time. Yeah, that's
So
a
it's like it's like if Sarah J. Maas like
was obsessed with population. Yes,
okay.
basically. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. The the second and fourth one is also with kidnapping. So
Oh.
yeah. So once they're like the Kui or however you pronounce it, they like made them, they kidnapped their women. But they were into it,
Oh
which
wait, so they're
okay.
not like
Actually, the first
kidnapped
one
by
was
someone
also
else.
kidnapping. Yeah, there's a lot of kidnapping. They're always into it, which I respect.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, it is. It is. Yeah. And that's all I read. And we both been playing Little Nightmares.
hmm
We both now finished the first one. And um I already started the replay as we played as six, one character, and now I started replaying it as the kid. And it made me cry a little bit again.
Wait, so is it the same game or is it a
It's
different?
like a different, you go in a different way,
Okay.
and there's a lot of water and there's a lot of the hand reaching for you, and
Oh
the
yeah.
monster. Like there's different monsters, I guess. Yeah,
It's disturbing. It always gives me the vibes that I'm watching The Grudge.
yeah.
It's got like the Japanese, well, the woman, uh, spoiler alert, the and villain is a Japanese woman,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But it's like, oh my gosh, it's like cannibalism. There are scary, greedy cannibals after you. There are hooks wearing other people's skin.
Yeah.
It's something. But I'm obsessed with it. Like
That's the thing. I don't
it
know
it
what it is.
disturbs me. I open it up and I'm like, ugh.
Yeah.
But then I close it and I'm like, oh, I'm in the mood to play it.
Yeah, the last time we played it like a few days ago, we were both going through our own separate journeys. We were all both absolutely like screaming,
Yeah,
going through very disturbing stuff, but we still kept on playing.
I know.
Like,
And it's so bad when we play it because we don't talk to each other. We
no,
talk to ourselves.
yeah, basically.
I'm like, Ivy, what's this awful beast? And you're like, oh no, I'm in the water. Blah, blah. And we just don't have cohesive conversations
No,
anymore. We're
no,
just going through our own shit.
yeah. But we're like doing it while holding each other hand, like meant there is some sort of mental support there. I wouldn't be able
Yeah,
to play it if I wasn't on a call with you. I'm not playing it without you there. I'm not. I
I
can't.
get it. Either that or in daylight. I'm okay
Yeah,
with playing it in daylight a little bit,
I
but
didn't. Hmm.
I'm glad you played it before me as well, so you can tell me how to get out of scenes quicker because if I have to keep replaying a certain bit, I want to cry. Especially when it's those pig men.
Yeah. Yeah, it was something. It was something. And then because the stuff that I'm enjoying are so extremely different from each other, it's rather funny, isn't it? We mentioned it a little bit in the interview actually. We were watching My Lady Jane.
Yes, we are watching
I-
that.
It's based on a book. I didn't know that was about to be a show because the book here in Czech a few years ago was like it had Sarah J. Maas level fame here. It was
Mm.
genuinely big, big, big.
I've never
And
heard of it.
but yeah, it's such a good show. It's such a
It's good, man. It's I mean, we've had run-ins with the main leading man before.
Remnants. That's a nice way to put it.
We started, what was the first thing we saw him in?
I
Discovery of Witches.
no, Killing Eve as a
Killing
Hugo.
Eve!
Yeah, he
Right.
slept with Sandra Oh before
He
she
did
sort of
sleep.
like ran away from him while he was dying.
Yeah, it's very interesting. And he's kind of like, I don't want you sleeping with him because you're in love with Villanelle. But then he dies and you're like, oh no, he's dead. And then in Discovery of Witches, he's either really pathetic or really hot because he's a vampire.
Mm,
So you don't really know how you feel about him.
yeah.
But at this point, we took to name him Sid the Sloth because his
Yeah.
eyes are really far apart.
They fucking are. And like his head is sort of triangle shaped. And we also saw him in Trying. He was there in one episode when
Mm.
um I always forget his name. What is his name? Main character. Nikki and Jace. Jess.
Jace,
Jace?
Jace,
Jace.
Jace, like Jason, Jace.
Oh, Jason. That's the okay, yeah. He was with his school students outside. It was the episode that we thought that he would be cheating, but he wasn't. And he
Oh.
was one of the kids outside in the park, and he was like, I'm from everywhere, really, I'm keep traveling. And Jason was having okay, so you're basically homeless and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel
And
like he
then,
plays the same character, but it's
yeah,
always a little different.
except for in Sex Education, he was the messiest man.
I don't remember him there.
You do. He was Maeve's brother.
Oh,
He
fuck
was,
yeah, I do. Oh my God. Yeah. God,
and
I
he
yeah.
was like both sympathetic and also awful.
Yeah.
And he was an addict. And then that kind of not it didn't put me off him because he was an addict. It put me off him because he was not a good brother. I love
Mm.
an addict. I love a
Yeah, she
messy
does.
man. I wanted
Yeah.
him to be fixed.
Yeah.
But at the same time I wanted him to be worse.
Yeah, because when he gets fixed, it's boring.
Yeah. Um and then and then this happened and it reignited something in us again.
Yeah.
He's a very complicated man to love,
Yeah,
but
I
we
know.
keep going back to him nonetheless.
Yeah. It's just he's very charming. Like he
Yeah.
really knows how to like turn it on and off. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, he is.
well, and you know what though? The actress that plays Jane, I'm
Yeah,
obsessed. I'm absolutely obsessed. I
rightly.
I'm like almost basically licking my screen. I'm genuinely like stuck to it. I'm keep watching every twitch of her eye. I'm just mesmerized. Is that the word?
Mesmerized.
That one.
Yeah.
Absolutely fucking lovely. Yeah.
I just get really, really jealous of pretty women with perfect hair and perfect eyes. And for that reason, I don't fancy them as much. Like
Hmm.
it because I'm just annoyed that God gave me this face and her that face. You
I
know what
know.
I mean?
First of all, your face is fucking beautiful. Don't even at me. But also, I get it. She's
Yeah.
she's she gives me Elizabeth Olsen vibes. There's just
Mm.
some they're like little similarities. But the thing that I have, she I just want her to choose me.
And she would. If she knew you, she'd choose you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I hope so.
Yeah. But for real, like if you're a romance fan and you've not somehow not watched this yet, you need to because like it's sizzling. They are always standing very close to each other.
For no reason. There's no reason for them to basically be leaning on each other. They're supposed to be like they can't like they don't like each other apparently, but they're
Yeah.
very horny for each other. But
Yeah.
constantly she's like straight under him and their faces are like that. So good.
It's like if you like Bridgerton, but you're even hornier and
Yeah.
you're on crack
Mm.
and you like shifters, then yeah. I actually fancy the most Susanna, and I just think it's because she's Irish and a shifter.
Oh yeah, I get it. I get it. I
Yeah.
really love the princess. I don't
Oh
know.
yeah. Yeah,
I
she's
think I
gorgeous.
know her from somewhere, but she's
She
gorgeous.
is, man. And also, there's a Black King. I'm very, very fond of the way that historical shows lately are just making white people who you know downright would be so fuming at the fact, people of color.
It's really funny because I saw a tweet of someone being like, once again, they are messing with history, blah blah blah. Like, babes, there are people turning into animals. It's not that deep. It's not that deep.
Fucking hell. I love it when people get pissed off for that reason.
I know. I feel like, you know what? People who don't get like I grew up watching Rain. I already know what it's like to like trying to do something historical and have it fucked up while
Yeah.
it being so good and enjoyable.
I just think I love it. Like,
I
I
know.
hate it when people get annoyed about like things that aren't historically
I
accurate
know.
and
Go watch
shit
a
like
historical
that.
movie.
Yeah,
I
I
mean, not
think
historical, documentary if you want
documentaries.
that.
I
Yeah.
think fiction should be fun. I think it should be something
Yeah.
to play with. Like,
Yeah.
it's just, I love it. I can't wait for that Pride and Prejudice retelling with the hockey man.
Oh yes.
Where a hockey player goes back in time into Regency era. I
I know.
can't
I know. Yes. Just yes.
fucking wait. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, that's
Oh,
that.
and also there are pointy objects in My Lady Jane. It
Oh yeah.
passed the pointy object test.
Yes.
They hold
Oh.
swords to each other's throats. Daggers, really.
Oh.
Dominic Cooper's there. And Rob Brydon's there with a cunty dangly earring.
Oh
Fucking
good.
king. So good.
So good. Yeah.
Absolutely. And 8-year-olds walking around killing people.
She's my icon. I want to be her when I grow up. She's the
No,
most unhinged little person I've ever seen on a show. She's
that's
so
amazing.
good. The lines
Yeah.
that she's dropping. I thought that was a very funny moment where she was like, I want some wine. And Jim was like, no, you're 8. Have a beer. And as a Czech person, like that one is not as much on like far-fetched
Yeah.
as you might think.
It's not here really. My auntie used to dip my doddy, or I
Oh.
guess you people would call it pacifier or
Mm.
whatever,
Yeah.
into into beer and then put it in my mouth when I was tiny.
I know. Apparently, like it makes you sleep faster, which of course alcohol does that.
Oh yeah.
Here, man, if I never liked it. I managed to not be part of this. But ever since my cousins and my brother were little, every time they open beer at the cottage, they could have a sip or like just have the foam and stuff like that. Since they were
Mhm.
fucking kids.
Yeah,
It's normal here, I'm afraid.
it is. Yeah. My mum used to think I was weird because I never wanted to try her alcohol when I
I
was
know,
younger.
same. They were
Yeah.
forcing me to drink. It's weird.
Yeah. Just be
Anyway,
like that, doesn't
yeah.
it?
Anywho,
Anywho,
that was that's us.
yeah, we've been on a journey this week.
Yeah. And now it's time to get into interview with Jennifer.
Enjoy.
Enjoy.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. Would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Apparently the dogs would like to say a little bit about myself. I'm sorry. Sure. Hi. Yeah. My name is Jennifer J. Coldwater, and I'm a dog mom. And I write contemporary romance. And I have had horrible imposter syndrome all morning that I, like every other bisexual in the world, do not feel queer enough to be on this podcast. So that's what I've been thinking about all day. So I just took a beta blocker and logged in.
Oh, well, look, I'm pan and Ivy's bi, so it's not exclusively suffix
Yes.
in this house.
Precisely. So tell us a little bit about when Ivy met Adam and what inspired you to write it.
um, yeah. So it's my second. My first book is Hall in My Heart. And the only reason I'm going to bring that book up first is because it's how I got started writing this way, right? Like I've always, always, always written. As a little kid, I wrote stories in spiral bound notebooks, and it'd be like math, and then a story about a horse who talks. But during the pandemic lockdown, my best friend uh, said, I'm writing a YA retelling of Pride and Prejudice. And I'm sorry, what? A retelling? That's an option? And so I started with the Book of Ruth. And so Hall in My Heart is a story I grew up with, right? Like I'm a Jew by choice. So the Book of Ruth is like our national anthem. And so I loved telling that story. And what's really funny is that I am mildly religious and wildly irreverent. And my best friend who writes Pride and Prejudice retellings is wildly religious. And so I wound up writing about the Bible and she wound up writing about Jane Austen. But it was very fun to have like a writing partner, even though we were on very different journeys all through lockdown and then trying to navigate self-publishing and all that kind of stuff. So the short version of how I got to When Ivy Met Adam is that I started with the Book of Ruth, and then I was like, hey, what makes sense next? And so I started picking on Adam and Eve, and that's how I got here. And I get nervous talking about the biblical origins of my stories because this is not Christian fiction. This is not Francine Rivers by any stretch of the imagination. But those are the stories that inspired me because those are the stories that I grew up with.
Amazing.
I
And
have
we'll
to
get to
say,
the sorry, I was
yeah,
just gonna say we'll get to the religion part
yeah.
after.
I have to say, we got a book, the copy from you, which is we're very grateful. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
I read a few chapters so far, and I have to say, Ivy, me, I have a friend who I go to Marvel movies exclusively, which is with him. So that's how the book started. I was like, okay, coincidence. But
Not
she
in
also
your
has
head,
the
I swear.
she also has the same glasses as me, and allergies rule my life, and she has a very massive allergic reaction. So after a while, and she's also bi, so after a while I was like, is this me? Am I the problem?
I want to say hooray that you found things to identify with, and also full disclosure, we never met before today.
Yeah,
Yeah. What are your allergies?
we don't have that
All of
time. I
them.
have so many allergies for like
Yeah.
vegetables and fruit and animals and pollen. It's just I should be wrapped in a bubble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have food allergies, and I
Mm.
also have allergies like if I go I was in urgent care recently, and they were asking me what I'm allergic to.
Mhm.
And the list of antibiotics is so long, it's
Oh.
easier to say, just give me a Z-Pack because I'm not allergic to that. But
Mhm.
yeah, yeah.
Understandable.
I um what is it called? Uh Cautionary tale. I got dehydrated. That's how I wound up in the urgent care recently,
Mhm.
because I thought coffee was actually a liquid that I could
Okay.
drink and not.
Luckily, I get myself hydrated, but someone here is not as good at it.
I
Anyway.
try.
It's easy to apparently it's easy to do because
Yeah.
Mm.
I mean,
the
I have a neurodivergent brain, so I'm usually thinking about what my hobbies or what I have to do next. I'm not thinking about water, but I probably should be.
yeah, it's so real. It's so
Yeah. So what drew you to the romance genre in particular?
great question. I mean, I've always kind of read here. There's somebody on Instagram asked the other day, what's the first like spicy read you read and how old were you? And when I was in 7th grade, what's that, 11 years old? Is that right? 12?
I wouldn't know.
Me neither.
Yeah, 11 or 12 years old. We had this copy from like somebody's mom or somebody's aunt or something of a very, very spicy book called Lace. And it had like tabs and markups and everything, so you could only read the spicy stuff. And I, to this day, have no idea what they were doing with this goldfish. I have no clue. But like that I've always read spice. And then to write in it felt okay. I'm gonna tell you this story. I don't
Go for it.
I'm gonna tell you this story. I very, very, very much have a story that like lives in my brain that I really want to write. And one of the reasons why a retelling was so appealing to me is because this story is so personal to me that I have a very hard time putting it on paper. And like every time I've tried to write, I end up either going super non-fiction autobiographical memoir or losing the plot because I'm trying so hard not to do that. So this retelling was like it gave me some. Have you ever gone bowling and they put gutter guards on so that you can't gutter ball it? That's what it felt like. I live under an airport, can you tell?
Oh, we can hear it, luckily.
Okay, good. Okay,
good.
I'm on the departure.
Oh, so does that wake you up in the morning?
It's my alarm clock.
Oh,
If
okay.
if I hear an airplane, I know I'm supposed to be up and getting going.
Got it.
Oh, I would just be at the window all day watching the planes.
It's pretty fun. It actually
Yeah.
is pretty fun.
Do you have any favorite romance tropes, and do any make an appearance in your books?
Yes. Um, I love a second chance.
Mhm.
I love the idea of we didn't get it right the first time, let's try again. And so Ivy and Adam are a second chance. I love He Falls First. I love He Falls First no matter who he is, right? Like I love the concept of someone falls really, really hard and the other person is like trying to figure that out for themselves. I'm actually writing that again right now. Like my female main character falls super hard for her new assistant, and like half of what I've written already is her trying to figure out like how to work that into her current relationship, and oh, what this is a professional relationship and all that kind of stuff. I love stuff like that. Let's see what else. I really didn't know that I liked forced proximity until I started writing it, and the whole trapped in a storm situation that happens in Ivy and Adam is I liked writing it, and now I find myself more drawn to reading it, if that makes any sense. I don't know that always happens, right? Like sometimes it's the other way around. Like sometimes the trope you like to read leads you to what you like to write. And in that case, it was kind of backwards. So kind of fun.
So let's get back to the religion, if you don't mind. It's no secret that religion and queerness don't always go hand in hand, but your stories retell the stories of biblical women, which is really interesting. Could you tell us more about how you managed to marry the two and why contrasting the traditional with the modern is important to you?
Yeah. So part of it is okay, so a couple of things. First of all, if these stories, okay, this is what a
Moment.
spicy brain does, right? Like
It's hard, yeah.
single idea is trying to come out at the same time. So, okay, let's pretend for a minute that these stories are about real humans who walked the planet, right? Adam and Eve, you know, it's a little far-fetched, right? And also, let's pretend they were real people. And Adam and Eve, like, not to be funny, but if there are only two people and 10% of the population, which I think is a low estimate, is gay, then that means 10% of each of them was gay. You know what I mean? But the other thing is that this is not an original idea. I would not have, in a world where you fuck around and you find out, I would not have messed with Adam and Eve if somebody hadn't done it before me. And that was like, it's midrash. It's like medieval times, people were talking about how Eve may not have been the first woman, that actually Lilith was the first woman. And she got kicked out of the Garden of Eden because she was a little too much like Adam. And he was like, no, I need somebody I can boss around. And so there's also, if you dig deep enough, there's literature that says that Adam and Eve, because of the nature of the beginning, right, were neither male nor female. And so I stole all of that, right? I don't think, I was having a conversation with a friend who probably describes himself as fundamentalist Christian, and I was telling him about my books, and he said, well, finally. And I was like, really? That is not the response I was expecting from you of all people. And he said, if these were real people, they had sex lives, they were into each other, like that, like, let's talk about that. And so I kind of, every time I get nervous about sacrilege, I remember that you know, they probably were. I mean, they had to have been, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
If they were real people, which, you know, that part I still don't know.
Yeah, a little hazy. I mean, Ivy and I was kind of, well, Ivy raised the question like, what would you say to somebody if they were kind of put off by the religion aspects of your books? Like, especially as a queer reader, because it's not something that we gravitate towards necessarily.
Yeah, I would say that it's a that my stories are an effort to take back those stories. I have a friend is such a term of ambiguity, but I know someone who is Jewish and straight. And he says, we need to take back the rainbow. The rainbow was ours, and you queers took it. And like, he's kidding, but he's also serious, right?
Mhm.
It, it's a middle finger. I, all of that is to say that this is a reclaiming of stories from history, as far as I'm concerned. And so give it a shot, right? Because the other thing is that ex fundies are all over the place, right? Like people who were fundamentalists and are now embracing their true authentic selves, whether that is queer or not. These are the stories that we heard when we were little. And so how cool to, in my opinion, like not to toot my own horn, but I'm trying to take them back.
Mhm.
I love that. I really love that. Because you're right, like I used to have like a kid's version of the Bible, and then they were just really nice, fun stories. And I feel like, you know, like extremism and things have turned them into something else.
Yeah, well, and to me, like, what better fuck you to fundamentalist Christians today than to be like, oh yeah, I mean, I mean, Adam and Eve were queer and get used to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean,
Amazing.
in Lucifer, Eve was there in the TV show, and she ended up in a queer relationship.
Right? Exactly. This
Yeah.
I'm not the first. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Love that show. Oh my God, I
It's a
love
great show.
that show. Yeah. Is that
But
one of your fandoms?
Oh yeah.
we have
Yeah.
many.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so delicious.
Mhm.
I'd have to
It's great.
rewatch. Right now I'm rewatching The Politician. Have you ever seen
Oh,
it?
I haven't, but I wanna because I'm a big fan of Ben Platt singing, and Ben Platt sings in that show.
Yes, I just finished season 1 last night. He is the reason I picked up that show in the first place.
Yeah.
I'm obsessed. And he sings, I think he only sings twice in the whole first season, and they're so freaking delicious that it doesn't matter that it's only twice.
Yeah.
So, but I'm also on a see, I don't know if what I'm about to say is legal, but I'm gonna say it anyway. The secondary female character in my work in progress is 100% Zoe Deutsch based. And so I'm trying to absorb as much Zoe Deutsch as I can.
Mm.
The politician.
Yeah.
I'm watching facial expressions, and her character in that show is unhinged.
Oh, really?
My that I'm writing based on Zoe Deutsch is completely like straight laced. She's like what is the term for like good girl on the streets, tiger in the sheets or whatever? Straight ahead, like a cop, and all this, and then you know, as soon as she lets her guard down, she's like this chaos by, and I love it so much.
Amazing.
You also have a background in journalism and teaching creative nonfiction, which is extremely interesting. Does this experience help you with writing fiction or vice versa?
So yes. Yeah. So creative nonfiction was kind of a term that, I mean, I had heard, but until I got a master's degree in journalism education from the University of Missouri Columbia, and I'm sure they're like, oh my God, this is what she's using it for, right? Slightly smutty books. But I took a creative nonfiction class as part of that program. I fell head over heels in love with the concept of writing the way you write fiction, with a plot and characters and setting and all of that kind of stuff, but you do it for something that is true. And it's, I mean, it's been around forever, but it was new to me, right? So that happened right, like I graduated in 2015 or 16 maybe. And so that was pretty fresh in my head, and I was still kind of dabbling in it and working with my students in it when this fiction writing thing came along. And so yeah, I try very hard to let the traditional like save the cat and like all of the plot devices that exist for fiction writing to inform my teaching of journalism, but I also try to keep the almost the like inverted pyramid, what's the most important thing you need to know right this second of journalism, to inform my beats in storytelling. That makes sense. So yeah, they definitely go hand in hand. I also the reason I have a pen name is because I'm a school teacher, right? Like the class that I want is for my middle schoolers. I don't teach middle school anymore, so but they are who I think of when I think of having a pen name, because even though my books are slowest of burns, I don't need these 11-year-olds and 12-year-olds asking me about them.
Yeah.
Understandable.
I think as soon as you throw in sex into romance, you become like known as a different kind of author, which is especially for kids that age, so it makes sense.
Yeah.
But on top of your writing, you also created the Diversify Your Romance Challenge, which we have featured on our blog already, but we were hoping you might want to talk a little bit more about it and why you decided to set it up.
Yeah. Thank you, by the way, for I feel like it's been a very cool collaboration, right? Like, I wanted to write about it, and you helped me find a platform, and then you sent me authors, which I just love. And it's cool because neurospicy, right? Like, as I was seeing the same names over and over again on the collaboration that you and I did, I was like, oh wait, I know that person from somewhere. And I would go back and be like, oh yeah, I met them through Instagram, blah blah blah, years ago. And like I like how everything's connected, and that like I'm so ADHD and I have so little object permanence that everything's new and exciting. Like,
Yeah.
oh yay, who's that? Turns out I know.
Oh, yeah.
Right, dedicated her second traditionally published book to me, and I forgot about it 3 times, and 3 times I got overly excited about it.
It's so real. It's so
Yeah.
real. People like during the pandemic, my friends and I would like rewatch a show, and I would be like laughing my butt off at something on Community or whatever. And my friends would be like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And I'm like, it's all new to me. 6 times, but it's hilarious. I have no idea what the question was though.
Oh, why did you decide to set it up?
Oh, the challenge. Okay. Almost everything I've done since teenagehood has been to defy someone.
Mm.
And that is the case here as well. I was at, like I had participated in quite a few writer challenges on Bookstagram, but I was looking for a reader challenge. I was like, hey, who out there has, like a list, I wanna check things off of a list and give myself kudos for accomplishing something for that some total stranger on the internet said is something I should do, right? And every single list was like, diversify your reading. And it was read a nonfiction book or read something written by a woman. Excuse me?
Are you not already doing that?
Okay. And so I was like, okay, it doesn't exist, so I should create it. And so I wrote truly my own, almost like shopping list. Like, what haven't I read that I want to read? And so I thought I hadn't read a monster romance, but I guess people sometimes qualify vampires as monster romance, and I've read every vampire book there is. So, but I still wanted to push myself. I also almost exclusively listen. So like a physical library book was one of the things on my original list, right? Like go to the library, check out a book, bring it home and read it. And there are people who are probably looking at my list and going, who the fuck doesn't do that already? So yeah, so it's very personal, but I also feel like it's been like the feedback I get is all positive. Not a single human has said, why are you doing this? Or who do you think you are? Which is always what I assume everybody's going to say anyway. So yeah, it's been super positive. And I think also any opportunity to shout out other authors, especially in is something that I definitely want to do. So yeah. Yeah. So I guess in that way, it's a confession of what I wasn't reading. I wasn't reading Asian authors. I wasn't reading. I I I'm obsessed with Afrofuturism and African futurism in a pop culture way, like in a Janelle Monáe is my human way. And but I had never read a romance in that world. And I found three that I talked about. There are like dozens, like it's a thing, and I had no idea. So it's been such a cool experience.
Wonderful.
Amazing.
I mean, we all can do always better. Like there's only limited time and we just have to try as much as we can.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the challenge because you do have to actively seek out more diverse books. Like they're not always on the shelves, but it's really lovely when these challenges do pop up.
Yeah.
And so like I gave myself a week for each item on the list. And when I got to disability rep, I realized how blanket a statement that is. And so I did a list for sensory disability and a list for mental health and disability. And then I did a list and then I realized after I did all that, I didn't do a list for physical disability, like actual, what we think of as, it's also such a sweeping generalization, but physical disability, right? And so I just made that list because it's Disability Pride Month in July. And so that was like, even when we are making an effort to diversify our reading, there's still always another way to expand what we're taking in, which I think is vital. I mean, that's the whole point, right? People who read have more empathy because they can see themselves in stories and they can see stories in themselves. And people who don't read don't have that and are making extremely crappy choices in the world.
Yeah.
It's a really interesting point. I never really thought about it like that, but it does make sense, doesn't it?
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, and that's again, no original thoughts. That's social science, right? Like that's
Right.
known stuff.
Mm.
Interesting. So we're running out of time. But before we go, we always like to ask what people are enjoying at the moment. So do you have any TV, film, books, podcast, magazine, whatever that's on your mind that you want to give a shout out about?
Sure. That's actually one of my favorite things on Instagram is to see what you two are reading and doing and watching.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
that's so funny because I literally said to Ivy the other day, should we keep doing that? Like, it's extra work. Is it worth it? And she was like, no, we get
I kind of
engagement.
love
And I'm
it.
like,
Always the
Yeah.
marketing specialist. We're getting engagement. Yes. This is very
Yeah.
nice feedback. Thank you.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I'm glad I said it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay. Let's see. Well. Oh, I mean, we've mentioned Ben Platt and The Politician. Oh, I'm on a deep Perry Mason dive. The 1957 to 1965 black and white. It's like a square, like it has the big bars on my TV because it was filmed for, you know, an old box. I'm obsessed. I love it so much. And like Perry Mason, the American Bar Association invented an award for the producers of that show because it was so accurate to legal process and all of that stuff. And like, I just love nerding out on stuff like that. So I'm obsessed with Perry Mason right now. And then I'm always in a Sherlock Holmes mood. That's cutie tootie. It's a little baby book.
Oh.
Packing books because I thought it would look better than boxes behind me. And it's a book of sounds. And so there's a screeching gate and stuff.
Oh, that's
that's
really
so good.
good.
Yeah, as long as I've been collecting books, I've been in a Sherlock Holmes mood. So I just finished the BBC Benedict Cumberbatch
Mm.
Yeah.
Gloriousness. And now I'm on Johnny Lee Miller and Lucy Liu and Elementary. And oh my God, you guys, she is
Yeah.
Yeah.
so much. And she's like if she is playing a character, she's doing it so well that it just seems like her. Like one eyebrow and it's a whole conversation. Okay, Lou, be quiet. Know what I'm barking at. Sorry. But yeah,
That's fine.
I'm on a detective kick or whatever. I think it's because I'm writing a murder mystery.
Oh.
Yeah. This is Burns.
Oh.
Baby boy.
So small and so loud. Yeah, what are you watching? What are you listening to?
Oh my gosh. I mean, we're watching My Lady Jane right now.
We are, yeah.
I want to, but my deal is I have the series has to end before I can start it.
Mm.
And
that's why I'm late to every party.
yeah, understand.
But it's a shifter romance.
Stop it. Uh-oh. Okay, I might have to watch it.
Nobody's really talking about the fact that it's a shifter
I
romance
had no
online.
clue.
So good. Yeah, and because he turns into a horse. There's so many riding a horse jokes that I'm making the entire time. 10 out of 10. Absolutely amazing. Yeah, it's so good. It's very,
And
very
you would probably really love her character because she's very like sassy, very like anti-patriarchy. It's wonderful.
Yeah, she's one
Yeah.
of the most
I will.
beautiful
I
women I've
will.
ever seen.
I'll move it. I'll move it up the list.
Yeah, 10 out of 10.
The other thing I'm doing right now is I'm trying to, just like everyone else in the entire world, I'm trying to go through the things I've already purchased that I must listen to without guilt. And so I'm trying to go through my audio TBR, my TV, as it were. But so that led me to some like a virtual stack of hockey romances. Apparently, but not in the mood to listen to them. Found a little bit of a hockey thing, and like how every single one of them isn't homoerotic is a mystery to me. Like why even like I just think if everyone is that beautiful and showering together.
Yeah, I'm afraid I'm gonna have to break that fantasy because as someone who grew up in a hockey family, it's anything but homoerotic. It's the most straight man I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're kind of stinky
And if we're being honest, kind of pieces of shit. You don't want to date a hockey player.
okay.
Only the ones written by women.
Yeah.
Isn't that true of almost everything though?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so very much.
Yeah,
This
Thank
was very
you.
fun. And good luck with this and next book.
Appreciate you so much.
So that was that.
That was that.
There's some thought or no thought?
No thoughts. Do you have
Okay.
anything to add?
It was very fun. It's always fun to talk to someone new.
It is.
Yeah. And as I mentioned, there's a lot of similarities between me and Ivy and Book Ivy.
Yeah, it was pretty weird, man.
It was.
It was pretty weird, but I love it.
I know.
So if you want to know more about Jennifer, she did give us a little blog post about her Diversifier Romance Challenge. You can find it on swordsandsapphics.com.
Mhm.
It was I will say that it was really refreshing to hear that take on religion.
I know. I agree.
And it did make me realize that like it's a real shame that religion for queer people especially has been like tainted by like the restriction of it and the homophobia and the bigotry, because I used to love reading the Bible. I had like an illustrated version of it when I was younger. And there are some really great stories. So it's really nice.
Yeah.
It's interesting what you find in authors and how everybody has their own little
No.
experience.
Yeah. Yeah. I really like the point that she made about when you read a lot, you grow like different sort of empathy.
Mm.
And it made me think back to I was talking to my friend about Station 19 and she didn't like it. And I was like, it's weird because like I feel like it's better than Grace. And I was like, I mean, you have so many queer people, you have like people of color predominantly, you have like Latina captain and like very powerful woman and like the chief is also she's half I think Japanese and half black, and she's also like this very powerful woman who has like it's just there's so much. And we were talking about the scene where very big two black men are hugging and it's such a
Yeah.
tender moment. And I was telling her, then she was like, oh, I never really thought about it like that. And I was like, that's so strange to me. Like every time I'm watching something, I'm I'm like focused on what it gives not only to me, but like what it means in the bigger picture. And it never really hit me that other people don't have that.
Yeah. Yeah, we're very lucky that like we're in a little corner of at least an online space where that's the case. And I'm really glad. I don't know how it came to be. Like, I don't know what set off like my need for representation and empathy and, you know, like wanting to see the world do better in general.
Mm,
But I'm really glad that I have it.
I
It's
know.
because it does make those little moments so special. And
Yeah,
I can't imagine not thinking that way.
I know. Honestly, same.
Yeah.
Same.
It's crazy to think some people just get by thinking about how things affect them
Mm-hmm.
and not like society or communities or
Mm-hmm.
minorities. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah.
I think by the time this episode is out, my press release will have gone out.
Oh my gosh.
So I think I can talk about it.
Okay. Go on.
I'm bringing out a book called Kindling, and it's a steamy romance. And it's MF, but the main character is bi, and she's plus size.
Mm-hmm.
And the cover was illustrated by Monica Rowe, who illustrates Tessa Bailey's book.
Mm-hmm.
And it's under the pen name Bonnie Woods,
Oh my gosh.
and it's set in Scotland. And it might have been a little bit inspired by a woodcutter on TikTok.
Maybe, maybe not.
Maybe, maybe not. And I'm really excited. So if you are looking for, and it's autumnal,
Mm.
so if you're looking for romance, I would really appreciate any love that you can give to it because
Yeah.
it's been a little career highlight to be able to work with Harper Nor.
Yeah.
And they've also been really kind about our podcast, I think.
Mhm.
She actually Daisy asked me if I wanted to include a line about having the podcast in my autobiography, and I was like, yes, please. So you actually might be in my autobiography.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. But yeah, it's
Oh,
very
that's
exciting.
exciting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ah,
And I'm really excited. So
wonderful.
please,
We are excited. I'm very
yeah.
excited. Very exciting. It's so good. It's so fun. It's always nice. It's nice. It's funny to see you go through the entire process and then just like be able to enjoy it. It's very nice to watch that because like the process, I feel like it's always the same, like ups and downs. You start, you're excited, then you start to get stressed, you second guess yourself, imposter syndrome kicks in, then you send it for edits, and that's like the wowie. That's a ride. So it's very nice to finally see you enjoy that.
Yeah, but I'm really still in the edits right
I'm
now,
sure.
and I'm not gonna lie, like my anxiety and like burnout has been really
Mm.
bad the last few weeks because I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's because we're on a tight schedule,
Mm.
but I really hope I don't feel like this every time I publish a book from now on because I don't remember feeling like this until release day with Honeymoon for one. Like I had a
Mm.
really rough release day. I felt super anxious and I invited everybody I know to come to my house and it was kind of awful because I was like, my autistic brain was like, these people need to leave. This is my house. It
Maybe
was
that's where you
awful.
went wrong.
Yeah, so I won't be doing that this time. I'm
Mm.
just keeping it quiet and like not quiet, like everyone knows, but I won't be having a huge celebration or anything. I'm just trying to keep calm. But yeah, I guess it feels bigger as well because this is a bigger
Mm.
publishing company for me and also a publishing company that I've like dreamed of working with and
Yeah.
I didn't want to like let anybody down. Like they chose me from a 3,000 word sample and it's like, oh no,
Which
90,000 words is a lot more than 3,000.
which by the way is always like there's not an email where there would not be any praise for you every single time. They're absolutely obsessed. And then she's like, they hate me and they hate everything that I've done. And then you got like a whole paragraph of how much they loved it. Yeah,
No.
it's quite wild,
I'm
isn't
just
it?
always waiting for people to realize that I'm not that great.
Well, they won't because you fucking are. Shut the fuck up. What the hell?
It's just very strange.
Yeah.
Anyways, if you're interested, please follow me on social media because I'll be tweeting about it and posting about
Yeah.
it a lot in the coming weeks. In fact, it should actually be up on NetGalley by this point, but if it's not, I'll tell Ivy to edit it out.
Maybe she will, maybe she won't. We'll see.
Yeah.
Very exciting.
Oh my God, don't let me read any NetGalley reviews, please.
No, I'm not gonna.
No.
No, I'm not doing that again. Mm-mm. Well, remember to
Support women's rights.
most importantly support women's wrongs, unless they're not consuming media and thinking think it selfishly just for them. That wasn't a good sentence, was it?
No, it wasn't your best.
It's very difficult to say it correctly when I'm starting on the negative.
Unless they are not considering the impact of representation in media.
Yes, that said better. I don't know.
I don't know. I've had enough now. Let's go.
And on that note, until we see you later.
I love this work. I love posting this podcast.
We shall see you later, alligator.
In a while, crocodile. Thank you for listening to Swords and Sapphics. You can enjoy a new episode every Wednesday.
While waiting, you can visit our website, swordsandsuffix.com, and find lots of articles, interviews, and guest pieces.
Feel free to contact us with any requests, questions, or inquiries through a form on our website or directly to our email, swordsandsuffixpodcast@gmail.com.